Welcome back, guys. So till now we already know that in epidemiology we have descriptive study, we have analytical study. From descriptive study we give a hypothesis. We had the example that smoking is a risk factor for the development of lung cancer. So this was our hypothesis that we got from descriptive study, right? Now we are going to check this hypothesis using the analytical approach. One of the analytical approach that we have already studied is the case control study. Today we are going to discuss a very important analytical approach, that is the cohort study. So cohort study is very important from our exam point of view. So let us try to understand it properly. So cohort, what we mean by cohort? Cohort is basically defined as a group of people. It is defined as a group of people who share a common characteristic or experience. So for example, a group of smokers can form a cohort, a group of uranium miners can form a cohort, a group of doctors can form a cohort. So this depends upon what hypothesis we get. Okay. So next, moving ahead, we are going to discuss about, let's see what are the types of cohort studies. Number one and the most important type is the prospective cohort study. So let us try to understand this very practically. Okay. So from descriptive study, let's say we have got a hypothesis that uranium miners are more prone to development of lung cancer. Okay, we have got this hypothesis from descriptive study. So now let us try to check this hypothesis using the prospective cohort study. So this is year 2020. So in the year 2020, we'll go to uranium miners, we'll select a group of uranium miners and we'll observe them for, let's say, 15 years. We'll observe them for 15 years, and in the year 2035 we will see that how many of them have developed the lung cancer. We will also have a comparison group to compare the results. Okay, so this is how the prospective cohort study is done. The second in the list we have a retrospective cohort study. See, in the prospective cohorts, it is taking 15 long years. Means if we start the study today in 2020, we will get the results in 2035. But retrospective cohort study is based upon datas and documents. Okay, so what we do in retrospective cohort study, we'll go to the miners. Okay, we'll collect the datas and we'll find out that how many of the miners are working here from the past 15 years. That is, the miners have started in the year 2005 and they're still working here till the year 2020. Now we have got the group of miners who are working there for 15 years. Okay, now we'll see how many of them have actually developed the lung cancer. So this is the retrospective cohort study. This is time saving approach. There is another type of cohort study. It is called as the combination of both prospective combination of both prospective and retrospective. So this is your homework. Please try to find out what it exactly means. Okay. If you can't find out, please leave a comment in the comment section. I'll surely explain this also very clearly. So moving ahead now, we'll see what are the different elements of cohort study. Different elements in cohort studies. The first element is obviously selection of study group. Study group are the group of people who are exposed to the risk factor, and they should also be free of the disease under study. Okay. So if we are our hypothesis is smoking is a risk factor for development of lung cancer, then our study group will be a group of smokers who presently should be free from lung cancer, but after 15 years they may develop lung cancer or may not develop lung cancer. So this is the selection of study group. We can select study group from general population, or sometimes we even prefer to go into specialized groups like a group of doctors, group of lawyers, group of civil servants, etc., etc. So this is selection of study group. Second, we have taking feedbacks. So we should be able to take feedbacks from the study groups, like over phone calls or through personal interviews or through mailed questionnaires, or we can go through their hospital datas, medical records. Okay, so we should be able to take feedbacks from the study group. The third element in the cohort study is the selection of comparison group. Selection of comparison group. Comparison groups, as I have already said, are as similar to the study group except for the fact that they should be non-exposed. They should not be exposed to the risk factor. However, in certain studies, the comparison groups are formed internally itself. For example, we have taken a group of smokers, right? And through the process, some of them have increased their number of packets per day. Some of them have decreased number of cigarettes per day, and some of them have left the smoking. So this is called as internal comparison groups. So sometimes in certain studies, we are able to get this internal comparison. Okay. Apart from that, we also require external comparison groups. External comparison groups who will be the group of non-smokers or the non-minors. Okay. So this is the third step. The fourth step is follow-up. Follow-up is obvious. We need to monitor this study group and the comparison group for over a period of 15 to 20 years through telephone calls, personal interviews, or through mail questionnaires. We should go through their medical records. We should have their frequent checkups that whether they have developed the disease or not. So this is follow-up. One term that is very common in cohort study, that is losses to follow-up. Losses to follow-up. See, cohort study is very time consuming for 15 to 20 years, right? So some of the people may die of other disease, some other disease. Some of the people may migrate to some other country. Some of the people may not cooperate with you anymore. Okay, so there is always certain losses to the follow-up, and ideally we should try that at least 95% of the total population we should be able to follow up. Okay, so after doing all this 4 steps, we will be now prepared with our data and all. So the 5th and the final step is analysis of the data.